Hey lads, Mills from MTG here. Today we're talking about some more budget modern, and I just want to start this video off by giving you a little comparison because today we're talking about humans, by the way. And so it'll be a 5 color deck, and I wanted to give this comparison because if I don't, a lot of people are like, "Oh, but $100 is still so much money." And I'm like, "Okay, but in comparison, and also if you're trying to get into modern, this is really reasonable to ask, especially seeing what you're going up against." So, for comparison, the competitive list, the standard list rather, not competitive, the standard list rather, is $838. Now, our list is much more budget and much more affordable by being almost a tenth of the price, being 96.22 and only 13.54 online. We also cut 3 colors, so that could do something for us. But we have Noble Hierarchs here for ramp. I'm talking about like what things I took out. We have Noble Hierarchs for ramp. We have Ether Vial to cheat things out. We have General Kudrow to push damage through. We have Kiteself Freebooter for interaction with our opponent. And we do have Mantis Rider for just some extra damage and just a heavy hitter. And then we have a lot of expensive lands. Now I'm going to actually exit out of this because this is our list. Today we trimmed it down to just blue and white. The original list that I made was mono white, but honestly I think trimming it to just white blue will be nice because this version with the blue cards really is more of a version that if you wanted to slowly upgrade it into 5 color humans is a deck that's not going anywhere. You don't have to worry about it because even if they try to ban any card from it, it's just going to get more creatures. They can't just not print any more creatures for the rest of Magic the Gathering that are humans. They're going to print humans. So the deck will always get more cards. They might not be great. They might not be the better cards in the deck currently. For example, Reflector Mage is amazing. But there will always be more humans coming. So humans as a pool will always have more creatures to choose from. Whereas a creature type like Merfolk rarely gets any love at all. And so, like, this is going to be a nice deck because it's very solid, as it might not be best in any particular format, but it will be nice to have as, like, it might not be tier 1, but it won't be tier 50. But this is a very solid list, and I'm just going to dive right into it because I've already delayed enough. It's a nice list to have at least on the back burner because it's solid. So we're going to start off with Champion of the Parish. Whenever another human enters the battlefield under your control, put a counter on Champion of the Parish. This is probably one of the best tribal 1-drops among all tribes. If you look over at Merfolk, they really don't have anything. If you look over at Goblins, basically they're a bunch of goblins anyway, a bunch of 1-drops anyway, but there's no, like, amazing one. The best you got is, like, Skirk Prospector. But this is going to be huge. It's going to be our heavy hitter, one of our several heavy hitters. Then we have Dauntless Bodyguard. Enters the battlefield, choose another creature we control. We can sack this to give that creature indestructible. It's a way to give a little bit of protection to our board. Soldier of the Pantheon, protection from multicolored, and whenever our opponent casts a multicolored spell, gain 1 life. We'll gain random amounts of life, but also protection from multicolored will sometimes come in handy. Next up is, for example, against Teferi, like they can't bounce this creature. Next up is Meddling Mage, and when I saw the price of this card, my jaw dropped. At one point, I got rid of them for that much, and then I picked them up later. But they've gotten even cheaper. At one point, these were like 20 a piece. Now they, for a playset, are like $7. That is insane to me. It's so much value. Anyway, it's a 2-drop 2/2 as it enters, not when it enters. So ETB denial effects don't affect this. As Meddling Mage enters the battlefield, choose a non-land card name. Spells with the chosen name can't be cast. There's a combo with this in the deck. It's not infinite, but it's really annoying for your opponent. Next up is Talia's Lieutenant. Now, when Talia's Lieutenant enters the battlefield, put a 1 counter on each human you control. All of our creatures are humans, obviously. And whenever another human enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1 counter on Talia's Lieutenant. Next up is Talia, Guardian of Thraben, which is a 2/1 first strike. Non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. We do have a few non-creature spells in our deck, so we have a few more than a human's deck would normally run, but it's just so good. It's amazing. I really considered in this list running Unsettled Mariner, but Talia, Guardian of Thraben, just does the job for you. If you are seeing that you're in a very burn heavy or removal heavy format, I might honestly even suggest swapping out your bodyguards for Unsettled Mariners. You have the mana base to support it. And honestly, we have the budget to support it. It's just Dauntless Bodyguard is that turn 1 play that we can, well, it's not a turn 1 play, but it's a 1-drop that we can play. We really like those 1-drops because we can like turn 1 champion the Parish, turn 2 like Dauntless Bodyguard, and another 1-drop, whatever. It's just, I really like my 1-drops, people. Just, I said a turn 1 play, came out. You don't want it to be a turn 1 play. It's just, I really like my 1-drops, people. But honestly, you could replace these with Unsettled Mariners. It would not be bad. But Talia usually does all you need it to do. Next up is Militia Bugler. When Militia Bugler enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a creature card with power 2 or less from among them and put them onto the battlefield. Not on the battlefield, into your hand. So, if you look at the top 4 cards of your deck, if you see our creatures, we have basically Talia, Talia's Lieutenants, Meddling Mage, Soldier, Dauntless Bodyguard, Champion Parish. Those are all things we can grab off from Militia Bugler. I said directly to the battlefield. I'm so used to Collected Company. Basically, it just goes to your hand, but it's a way to get extra value. And in a deck that is so creature-based, it's nice to have some that help our card advantage. Next up is going to be the combo with Meddling Mage, which is Reflector Mage. When Reflector Mage enters the battlefield, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. That creature's owner can't cast spells with the same name as that creature until your next turn. So, if we use this to bounce a creature our opponent controls, they can't cast it, and then until our next turn, and then we play a Meddling Mage naming that creature. Now they have a creature in their hand that they can't cast. And this can be used for anything, not just Meddling Mage. I would not hold this in your hand waiting for a Meddling Mage. This is definitely something you want to play, but if you also have a Meddling Mage and nothing better to target, you can definitely name that creature, and it will make your opponent really, really, really sad. Anyway, next up is our non-creature portion of the deck. We have Path of Exiles for removal, Gather Townsfolk, put 2 humans on the battlefield, or if you have 5 or less life, put 5 of those tokens on instead. This is going to be a way for us to either get a little bit of value pretty early on, or if we're in a very aggressive metagame where our life is very low, we can just suddenly get 5 of these creatures out. And then if we have anything like Champion the Parish or Talia's Lieutenant out, all of those are gonna trigger every one of those cards. Anyway, one of the things that a lot of tribals lack out there, I've been asked to make like a Minotaur deck. I've been asked to make several other decks. I've been asked to make a chicken deck, and I'm not sure about that. Anyway, the point is that the thing that a lot of tribes are missing are lords. Now, you would think that humans have lords, but they do, but they're just they really aren't. They really aren't in our colors. So the way we're going to be pushing damage, well, not the ones that I want to play are in our colors. So the way we're going to be pushing damage is Honor of the Pure. Now, you'll before we talk about it, notice that all of our creatures are white, and even the creatures that are made from gathered townsfolk are white. Now, Honor of the Pure is going to say white creatures we control get +1/+1. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to pump up all of our creatures, and even if we get board wiped, Honor of the Pure stays on the battlefield, so we don't have to try to like top deck Bodyguard. Well, I guess top deck a Parish and then deal 1 damage at a time. So Honor of the Pure is going to allow us to recover faster if we need to, while also being able to get a massive amount of damage. And like, imagine being at 4 life, having this out, or 5 life even, having this out, and then top decking and gather the townsfolk. That would feel amazing, because for 2 mana, we'll just get 10 power on the board. Anyway, so that's one of the reasons why I like Honor of the Pure so much, because we can recover from board wipes so quickly in this deck. Anyway, our lands, I don't want to keep this video too long, or else it will, once we get past like the 15-minute mark, it's suddenly like a 3-hour video. Time goes by like that. So lands, since we are not running Ether Vial, we are running an extra land. It's just to allow us to hit our higher creature spells. Like 3 is pretty high for this deck. So having extra lands if you're not running Ether Vial is pretty standard. We have Hengegate Pathway. We'll only ever really need 1 blue land. So anytime that we have a blue land, like past when we have that first blue land, these can enter in as white lands. I've already told you, I don't even know how many times. How many videos do I have so far? Like 45 on decks. I think I've told you 45 times how much I like pathways. Then we have 1 island, just a way for us to add in an extra blue source. Also, if they destroy our land, we can go search it out. 8 plains, because it's the main color of our deck. Prairie Stream is 3 of, not 4 of, because we don't want to sacrifice too many of our basics so that we can run Prairie Stream, or else it'll never enter untapped. Entering tapped isn't horrible for us. We just, like, even turn 1 Prairie Stream isn't horrible. If we have turn Prairie Stream and Champion in our hand, it might feel bad, but quite often Prairie Stream won't hurt us really. Next up is Unclaimed Territory, and Unclaimed Territory is probably the best land in the deck beyond Pathway. Basically, just because it enters, we choose a creature type, and then it adds rainbow mana for that creature type. We're only going white-blue, so it won't hurt us that much. But we can also tap it for colorless mana. Next up, we have, actually, that's all of the lands. I almost went back to Prairie Stream. But Hengegate Pathway is I really like this card so much. It allows us to cast our normal spells. Anyway, before we get onto the sideboard, if you like this deck, if you like decks like this, please hit that like button. It really means a lot. If you want to hit that subscribe, we just got to 100 subscribers. And I hope I look back on this video and I'm like, wow, that's a very small amount of subscribers. But right now, it's a very large amount to me, and I'm very excited. Keep smashing that subscribe button. Any new people coming in, I know the people who are already subscribed can't resubscribe, but you know what? I'm very happy. But if you want to see any decks that I have not shown yet as well, or if you have any ideas for the list, let me know below. And maybe I can build a deck that you're interested in seeing. You know what? Giving deck ideas to me is not a horrible way for me to keep content going, because there's only so long I can keep making deck lists every day. Anyway, heading back over to the deck, we do have a sideboard, and it's fairly simple. We have Tormod's Crypt for Graveyard Hate. We have Path to Exile for creature removal. We have Disenchant for artifact and enchantment destruction. We have Mana Leak for anything that we really need it for. In certain matchups, some of our cards might just feel really bad and not worth it. And so Mana Leak is something that we can bring it in and kind of like give it a little gap closer. Because there are some cards that we might just keep in because there's nothing in our sideboard that can replace it, and Mana Leak is definitely one of those cards we can replace. But you can also bring this in against combo decks that you need to counter a spell, or a control deck, or even an aggro deck. This is the kind of card that you need to feel out when you need to play it. Next up is Unbreakable Formation against any decks that you might need that Indestructible. It gives Indestructible, but it can also pump up all of our creatures, give it Vigilance, swing in. So in an aggro deck, we can outpower them. In a control deck, we can prevent their board wipe. And in, well, I guess combo decks that you don't bring this in against, but those two decks are really what you want to bring Formation in. And I know it's a 3-drop. I know people didn't really think they'd see it past Standard, but it's seeing play here, and it is a good card. Anyway, if you like the list, let me know below, and I will see you next time.